to my podcast, The Melancholy Guy Talks. And right now, I'm talking about recovery, living with addiction. In this podcast, I'm sharing my life, my journey through life while being an open, polyamorous African American male living in recovery. I am the Melancholy Guy, Calvin, or CPJR if you know me. And today, I definitely believe that change I must or die I will. To learn more about the Melancholy Guy, go to Instagram and click on the link in the bio. Also, with a donation of just $1, you can have access to my first series on ethical non monogamy, the fun stuff that started my podcast journey. See my Patreon page for more info. Links will be in the show notes, and it's also in the links via Instagram. So let's talk. Today's date is 3/29/2020, and it's been 71 days since I've felt the need to pick up my drug of choice, and it's been great. Today's episode is episode 52, and no, yeah, today's episode is my first 90 days, part 7, episode 52. Um, and for the remainder of March, as well as for the month of April, I will have a weekly topic that will be aired in 15-minute increments. One released on Sunday, and the second half released on Thursday. So to be sure to tune in for both. All right, so let's get to talking. Welcome back to the podcast, and for those who are here for the first time, welcome to the podcast. So this podcast is basically me talking for about 15 minutes or so, or 30 minutes for both parts, talking about my my life in recovery. And last episode, I recapped my first 60 days. I just talked about how, what's been happening in my life, the things that I set in motion with intention at the beginning of those first 60 days are actually coming to fruition now. Now that I'm in the last 30 days of the first 90 days, because I'm talking basically I've also been talking about my first 90 days in recovery, that beginning period that most addicts who are trying to get clean go through. We're trying to lay down that foundation by not picking up that drug anymore, or not using any substances or drinking anymore. What it's like to go through those first 90 days, and also a sort of a guide that I found on addiction.com, and I'm gonna finish that up. I was going through those 14 steps before I did the recap show last week. So I was going to do the last. I'm going to do the last 3 steps of that. I did the first 11, and I'm just going to read through what those first 11. What those first 11 steps are, because it's been a while since we've been through the whole thing. Real quickly, the 14 steps for a successful first 90 days. All right, create and keep a daily schedule. Make meetings a priority. Find a sponsor, trust a mentor or therapist. Continue seeing your doctor or therapist. Create a safe environment for yourself. Ask for help from your loved ones. Make a list of goals. Pay attention to your diet, sleep, and physical activity. Learn your triggers and practice healthy coping skills. Don't rush back to work. And those are the ones that I covered so far. And that's basically, I talked about each of those in the preceding episodes, parts 1 through 7 of my first, parts 1 through 6 of my first 90 days, and now we're on part 7. And I'm going to talk about today, limit your social, no, I'm sorry. I talked about limit your social engagements already. So I'm going to go to step 12, and it's going to be avoid major life changes. And then step 13 is going to be celebrate your milestones. I'm going to talk about those two today. So, what I want to say that avoid the reason that avoid step 12, avoid major life changes, is so important. And I'm going to read the step to you. I'm going to discuss it. Keeping your life simple means adhering to the first 12-step rule of no major life changes during the first year of recovery. Major life changes include everything from getting married or divorced, changing residences, unless you need to in order to remove yourself from partners or friends that continue to use, quitting or changing jobs unless that's absolutely necessary, deciding to have children, and so on. There will be ample time to make these major decisions when you are stronger in your recovery and more confident in your capabilities. So basically, I outlined that step for me is like keeping it simple. You know what I mean? Because basically, um, the moment you decide, or the moment that I've decided to, 'cause I'm gonna keep it on me, the moment that I decided to, or I set the intention to make recovery first and not use, and this is now also in the past, is that basically I said that for myself. Everyone else didn't set that intention. Everyone else around me basically still sees the same person they saw yesterday, or for me right now, 71 days ago or 90 days ago. They still see the same person. As far as my behavior, they may start seeing different behavior by now, but they also may feel as though they've seen it before. So it's like by me making life changes, let's say deciding to move or deciding to date someone, or let's say divorce someone, something like that. All of a sudden it's gonna cause, for me, it causes like a major, it may cause like emotional shifts or just like problems that you aren't ready to handle as a new addict, and it may cause resentment, it may cause anger, it may cause instability, things that maybe you or myself aren't ready for. So it's best to give yourself time before making those type of changes as best or as much as possible. So it's like they say things like don't go date, don't date. Because most of the times when you're dating, you don't really know what you want because you don't really know yourself. Um, you know, stay where you are. Don't buy a new car. One thing about if you stop using right now, right? Like, okay, I start my job tomorrow. One thing about using that I've noticed from myself in the past is I've said it before. Like my thing is like all I want to do is get back to a job and start making money again. The first thing that I want to do is like start spending money because basically that makes me feel good. So I start using. So I've been um, replacing using the drugs or substance to make me feel good to spending money, and then that makes me feel good. So it's like I want to go out, and one thing I always think about, or I've always thought about in the past, is I want to buy a car, because basically that's the that's what that's the pinnacle of, for me. That's the pinnacle of someone that's doing well. Go out and get a nice car, then you feel good. So basically, you're trying to make yourself feel good, and in the lingo of recovery, they call that they I like to use the term dressed up trash can. So basically, you're making all these outside changes and you're looking good, but on the inside, nothing's really changed. You're really like the same person. So it's sort of like the thing I like to think about, and the thing that keeps me straight is or what I'm trying to implement in my life to keep me straight going forward, is to think about my last 24 hours, right? Like right now, I've been, 71 days clean since I've used, like I always say, my last drug of substance. How did I, what did I do, what have I done to make those 71 days? And that may not seem like a lot of time to a lot of people, and it really probably isn't a lot of time. But what did I do to keep myself straight those last 71 days? And those last 71 days have not always been beautiful. Like I haven't had any issues with like using or being having haven't had any issues with being like tempted, no cravings, a few thoughts of using every now and then. But there's been like emotional issues. You know what I mean? Like I've had to deal with family and things like that. And not in a major way, but just getting used to just dealing with family and friends with no drugs. And then a lot of times, so the more So if you start making life changes in early too soon, you're gonna for me lose grasp of what recovery is. And if my first intention, like I've been saying, my first intention is always for everything that I've done, I must stay clean. I must stay in recovery. So to do that, I must take major changes slowly, and that's what I've been doing day by day. So I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna pick it up in a few minutes on the next half. I'm gonna have some more thoughts on that. So basically, I was saying keep it simple. And also, I want to say one thing about if anybody out here want housekeeping thing I want to talk about. If you happen to catch or watch the video of this podcast or catch any video that I post like on Instagram or anything like that, I do recognize that the video and audio has been off. I've been trying to do some different things with putting it on YouTube, and I know that it's been off because I'm not sure why, but I think it's because I've been using like a free version of some software, testing out some new things before I start making investments in April into what software I'm going to use. But I know it's off. If you've seen it and you want to tell me, I already know. I'm working to fix that now. I'm actually using a different video capturing software right now to see if that improves on the next episode. Okay, so I think that's gonna be it for now. Um, and like I said, the second part will be post. This part will be posted today on Sunday, and then the next part of this discussion will be posted on um, Thursday. I'll tell you, I won't be able to talk about my new position until next Sunday. But like I said, I start my job tomorrow. Um, I'm really grateful about that. It's really grateful, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, and I'm going to always leave a moment for the still suffering addict that may catch this program. You know, I just want to appeal to anyone that is still using or having any type of issues with drinking or drugging or anything like that, or addiction issues at all, period. I'm a living witness, or, I'm not much of a living witness, much of a testimony, but you can quit if you want to. Um, it's gonna have to be something that you really want to have. It's gonna have to be something that you really want or really need. You know what I'm saying? Like I hit my rock bottom. My rock bottom wasn't. It may not be a rock bottom. I didn't end up in jail. Didn't end up in prison. I ended up alone. I don't know if that hits. That probably doesn't hit you as hard as it just hit me. But that's one thing that I really saw coming at me full steam ahead. I was going to end up alone if I didn't find a way to make recovery first in my life. Um, so reach out, get some help. You don't have to use, one day at a time. You can make it just like I'm doing right now. And with that, I'm gonna wrap it up. So always remember to love and respect yourself first, and everything else will take care of itself. Peace and namaste.